The year is 1958, and a small factory on the outskirts of Madison, Wisconsin, reveals a machine that would forever change the face of heavy construction. The Diver X1000 Excavator, with a groundbreaking 8 cubic yard bucket capacity, 35-foot reach, and a diesel engine capable of 450 horsepower, promised to revolutionize the excavation industry. As one brochure line claimed, the future of digging has arrived. But it was a future that would prove unsustainable. The Diver X1000 was engineered for gargantuan tasks, dam projects, strip mining, and massive highway cuts. But in its glory, it became an industrial enigma. Massive engineering might met with a brutal reality: a small dealer network, fierce competition from giants like Caterpillar and Deere, and rising market pressures. How does a company build the biggest, the boldest, and still vanish from the industry's memory? The Diver Machinery Company, founded by Warren Diver in 1945, began in a cramped shop in Madison, Wisconsin. Specializing in hydraulic loaders, their early machines were designed to solve the age-old problem: efficient dirt moving. Warren's vision was clear. He wanted to create something that could challenge the status quo. But the market was dominated by proven giants like Caterpillar and International Harvester. By 1950, Diver had already earned a reputation for reliable, heavy-duty machines, and their sales were growing. Early models like the Diver 500 loader were revered for their sturdy build and long-lasting performance. The excavation industry was still reliant on cable-powered machinery, and efficiency was a major concern. Hydraulic systems were rare, and only a few manufacturers were pushing the boundaries. But a feeling lingered in Warren's shop. What if they could push further? The industry in 1955 was still entrenched in outdated systems. While giants like Caterpillar and Allis-Chalmers continued to build on cable-driven excavators, Diver Machinery was eyeing a new frontier. Their machines were reliable, but contractors were seeking faster, more powerful solutions. Warren Diver and his engineers had a plan to leapfrog the competition: hydraulics, something that had yet to dominate the heavy equipment market. In the summer of 1955, Diver secured a critical patent for hydraulic-driven components, a key step in their bid to redefine the industry. Most industry competitors remained cautious about hydraulics, seeing it as an unproven and expensive risk. The market needed a radical machine to push them past these limitations. But this leap would come with immense risk, and Warren knew it. The patent filing was a declaration. Small shops could still innovate. By 1957, Diver's smaller models had gained traction across the Midwest. The Diver 700 series excavator featured the newly implemented hydraulic system, allowing for faster and more precise operation. Their dealer network, while small, grew loyal. Contractors appreciated the machine's reliability, but their new hydraulic system still needed more field testing. Diver expanded its operations and began testing the new system in various job sites, from small-scale road projects to the edges of mining pits in Michigan and Minnesota. Each new job proved their system's potential. "Smoothest swing I ever felt," one operator noted in a dealer report from a highway project outside Milwaukee. The 700 series was capable, but its success depended on the market's trust in hydraulic technology. Trade journals began to notice. The machines were working, and word was spreading. In 1958, the Diver X1000 Excavator was born. It was a monster: 8 cubic yards of bucket capacity, 450 horsepower, and a hydraulic system that promised unparalleled digging power. It was designed for massive industrial jobs: strip mining, dam construction, and highway development. "The future of digging has arrived," proclaimed the first ad in Construction Equipment magazine. But this machine came at a high price, both literally and figuratively. The industry was still very conservative. Competitors were skeptical about the durability of hydraulic systems on such a large scale. Some dealers were hesitant to pick up the diver line, fearing the risk involved with untested technology. Some wondered if the market was ready for such an ambitious design, especially with a small company like Diver trying to challenge the likes of Caterpillar, who had a better dealer network and a more established presence. The first job site footage of the Diver X1000 in action stunned operators and engineers alike in the spring of 1959. It could dig deeper and faster than any cable-powered machine. The X1000's 35-foot reach and massive digging capacity made it an ideal candidate for dam projects in the Tennessee Valley and mining excavations across Montana and Wyoming, proving its worth to contractors who needed more muscle. The machine's hydraulics could lift tons of earth, making it a true game-changer. Contractors were impressed, but at a staggering price point, up to 50% higher than a traditional cable machine. While Caterpillar was refining its cable systems in Peoria, Diver was proving hydraulics could handle industrial-scale work. The gamble was paying off, but every sale required convincing a skeptical buyer that the future was worth the premium. The X1000's success sparked a new era of larger hydraulic machines. As Diver expanded its line to meet growing demand between 1961 and 1963, the company also began experimenting with attachments. From heavy-duty rippers to specialized dragline buckets, the machines became more versatile. A 1962 catalog listed 14 different attachment configurations. However, this expansion came at a cost. As production numbers increased, quality control became more difficult. Dealers were also struggling to maintain their inventory, as the sheer size and scale of these machines meant longer lead times for parts. A dealer in Kansas City reported waiting 6 weeks for a hydraulic cylinder replacement. Despite these challenges, Diver's momentum continued to build. The machines were working. The complaints were about logistics, not capability. It was engineering at its finest, but engineering alone doesn't pay the bills. With each new model, Diver earned converts. The X1000's success had paved the way for several new variants, each tailored to specific job site needs. Larger buckets for strip mining in Appalachia, specialized attachments for dam construction on the Columbia River. By 1965, Diver machines were working on some of the most ambitious projects in American infrastructure, but it wasn't long before their competitors started to catch up. In 1966, Caterpillar introduced its own hydraulic-powered excavator with comparable specs to the X1000. Deere, Case, and International Harvester also began to invest heavily in hydraulic technology. The once clear market leader had new competitors entering the fray, armed with better dealer networks and established reputations. Diver had proven the category. Now the giants were commoditizing it. The machines were still excellent, but the advantage was narrowing with every competitor announcement. By 1967, Diver had become a major player in the industry. The company's machines were being used in some of the largest excavation projects in the U.S., including the construction of massive dams and the development of large-scale highways across the interstate system. Diver's machines were widely respected for their innovative engineering and operational efficiency. A 1968 trade review called the X1000 the benchmark against which all hydraulic excavators are measured. But the company's success was also its greatest vulnerability. As their machines grew larger and more sophisticated, so did the expectations. Contractors were now demanding machines that not only performed but also required less maintenance and offered greater reliability. Parts availability became a recurring complaint. Diver's small dealer network couldn't match the service infrastructure that Caterpillar and Deere had built over decades. The praise was real. The pressure was mounting. In 1970, Diver's X1000 was officially recognized as the flagship of American excavation. With its massive reach and hydraulic precision, it had earned the respect of contractors across the nation. It was the largest machine in its class, dominating job sites from Arizona copper mines to Massachusetts highway cuts. But while the X1000 was an engineering marvel, it attracted the attention of industry giants. In 1971, Caterpillar, Deere, and other major competitors began producing machines with similar capabilities but with larger dealer networks and established customer service models. A Wisconsin operator recalled, "The Diver dug better, but when it broke, I waited. With Cat, the part came overnight." For Diver, it was a double-edged sword. Its innovation had set a new standard, but it had also invited fierce competition. The machine was perfect. The market didn't care. By the early 1970s, the competition was catching up fast. Caterpillar's new hydraulic machines were gaining ground, with more parts availability and a larger network of service technicians spanning every major construction market. While Diver's machines were still top tier, the company couldn't match the scale and efficiency of their larger competitors. As global economic pressures tightened and a recession loomed in 1973, Diver's production costs soared. Steel prices doubled. Diesel engines became harder to source. Dealers, faced with smaller margins and tighter credit, began to favor more reliable, cost-effective brands with guaranteed parts supply, leaving Diver with a shrinking market share. By 1975, Diver had lost nearly 40% of its dealer network. The machines hadn't failed. The economics had shifted beneath them. In the late 1970s, Diver was struggling. Despite the continued excellence of their machines, internal fractures began to appear. Ownership changes, mergers with smaller companies, and the increasing dominance of larger corporations eroded their market position. Their machines, once revered for their innovation, began to feel dated as competitors introduced computerized controls and fuel-efficient engines. The company's last model, the Diver X1000, was a response to market pressures, but it came too late. Some accounts credit its design to Milwaukee engineers trying to modernize the hydraulic system. Others suggest it was a licensing deal with a European manufacturer. By the time the X1000 was released in 1978, the market had moved on. The end was inevitable. The name remained on the frame, but the respect had faded. The recession of 1980 hit hard. Diver's small dealer network couldn't compete with larger corporations that had deep pockets and established customer loyalty. Parts became harder to source, and machines began to age without the necessary upgrades. Meanwhile, Caterpillar and Deere launched their own upgraded hydraulic excavators, effectively pushing Diver out of the market. Construction spending collapsed, highway projects stalled, mining operations slowed. As Diver struggled with mergers and ownership shifts, it became clear that the company's time had come. By 1982, production had ceased. The Madison factory closed its doors. The brand was sold to a holding company that never revived it. The machines remained in service for years, testament to their durability, but the name faded from catalogs and dealer lots. Today, the Diver name is largely forgotten, relegated to faded brochures and rusting frames in equipment graveyards across the Midwest. But the legacy of their machines lives on in every modern excavator. The hydraulic systems they pioneered have become standard in the industry. Caterpillar, Komatsu, Volvo, all build on principles Diver proved viable in 1958. Yet, the company's story is a stark reminder of how even the best machines don't guarantee survival. The Diver X1000, once a symbol of hope and innovation, is now a rusted frame sitting in a forgotten field in Montana, its bucket still large enough to change the earth. Its name faded, but its engineering persists in every modern machine that digs beneath the surface.